This is KC Sports Tonight.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live streaming edition of KC Sports Tonight. Scott, Reiss, Marleah Campbell, and we are, as you can probably tell, at the K. And this is the place to be because the Guardians are in town for 4 games. First trip for Cleveland into Kansas City this year. And, you know, Marleah, if we'd looked at the schedule back in, February, I don't think anybody would have circled this 4-game series as quite so pivotal to the scope of this season. But you know what? Royals are 9 games out. 4 games against Cleveland, you get a sweep, you're 5 back, so this is pretty important.
Certainly an opportunity to make up some ground here. You know what's funny is I actually did have this circle on my calendar because Will Brennan is coming to town, Blue Valley High School and K-State kid, so I thought, we'll go down and get some interviews with him. Turns out we flipped the script. He is on the injured list, so he will not be playing tonight, and the actual baseball really does matter because the Royals, although took a little setback these last couple weeks, are very much in the long-term race for the AL Central.
Yeah, you know, it's not every day you get breaking injury news from the player himself, but we were actually in the Guardians clubhouse talking to Will. He's like, by the way, I was put on the injured list. It happened like 10 minutes before we talked to him. He's got an oblique injury, so he'll be out for at least a couple of weeks. And I know it's a bummer for him and his family. He said his grandparents will still be here from Overland Park. Parents aren't going to bother making the trip tonight because, again, Will's not playing. I tell you what, from a Royals perspective, this is a really good thing because Will has kind of killed them. Remember, he had the big game-winning hit last year in the late innings, and he's had a lot of success against the Royals, so I don't think they're too upset to have him not in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, certainly a pro for the Royals. They'll take anything they can get. This is a really good Guardians team. And again, a pivotal series. We were talking to some of the guys, Vinny Pasquantino, some Lugo, in the clubhouse, and they were saying, you know, this is where every game you're kind of checking the box score afterwards to see how did the Guardians win, did the Guardians lose. The ball is in your court here. I mean, you can really start to narrow this gap a little bit. Going to be a tough 4 games here, but no better place to do it than at home and to get back on your feet after a big 8th inning last night.
So if you haven't checked the standings today, the Royals are in what we call a virtual tie with the Red Sox, meaning percentage points separate them, but essentially the same record for the final wild card spot. So basically a tie for a playoff spot as we sit here right now. And I mentioned at the top they're 9 games back at Cleveland, which sounds like a big number given that for the longest time they were a game and a half back. And there was that stretch of about 15 games where the two teams did the same thing every single night. So the Royals were a game and a half back like forever. That sounds pretty good now. 9 games is a lot, but it's still June. You got a lot of games left head-to-head starting with the 4 this weekend.
And the Guardians have a tough schedule coming up.
They do.
After the season. The Royals kind of slugged their way through
their,
really tough part of the schedule. So, take care of business here, and we're having a different conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the goal has to be win 3 out of 4. You get a sweep, you're over the moon. And even a split, it's not disastrous, but I think you'll sort of feel like you left some meat on the bone here and a chance to get them at home. The Royals have been so much better, Marleah, in this building, especially offensively. And honestly, it's been strange the extent to which they've been better. The pitching has traveled. I mean, they've pitched well home and road. The hitting has been really good here, really not good on the road.
I'm going to do something we never do during broadcast, but I am going to.
Ooh, this is what we call iris up
behind the scenes
in the TV vernacular, or in this case, the streaming vernacular.
Okay.
Do I look better now?
Hopefully you can actually see us now. There we go.
Oh, that's way better.
Isn't
way
it?
better.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, we were talking.
Big series nutshell. I mean, Guardians in town, no Will Brennan. I think we covered our bases here. But we were talking about yesterday, the 8th inning, they really started to get their bats hot. And Vinny in the locker room said, that's contagious. You don't want to be the guy that gets the whole thing, stops the train.
Well, and he wasn't. He was the guy who, Bobby started the train with a triple with 2 out and nobody on. It was seemingly the Royals were on their way to losing 2 out of 3 to a really bad Marlins team here.
Yeah. That
would have been kind of disastrous. And Bobby gets the triple, and it was like a weight was lifted from the stadium because Vinny comes up, next guy. The sun came out as it's done every 5 minutes here since we've been here. And Vinny singles them home, and then they pinch run for him. Dairon Blanco steals second. Salvi knocks him in with a double. Nick Lofton with an RBI single. Freddie Fermin with a 2-run single. And all of a sudden, you go from down 1-0 and down to your last 4 outs to up 5-1 going to the 9th, and James McArthur shuts it down. I mean, that inning really changed so much. And if they piggyback off of that, if they build on that and they win the next couple of games, we're going to point to that inning, I think, at some
Yeah.
point over the summer and say that was a massive, massive inning in the grand scheme of things.
Specific moment.
Yeah.
We had our first ever, at least in recent history, player telling us his injured status minutes before the game. Now I have our first KC Sports Tonight breaking news on location. Bobby Witt Jr. signs as Whataburger's official brand ambassador.
Wow, where is he? Can we get him? We got to ask him about that.
I know. He was just out here a few minutes ago.
Wow.
It's pretty exciting, following in the Mahomes' footsteps.
You know what? Talk to me when he gets the in and out.
I'm still waiting.
Worth the wait, let me tell you. So it'll be Michael Waka tonight. And Waka, coming back from the injury, has had one start already. And Waka, I think, has been pretty much as advertised for Kansas City. His ERA is around 4. He's been a little bit better than that the last couple of years. And that, to me, says that there's potentially some positive regression. So that's good. But he's a veteran, likes pitching in this ballpark, understands the magnitude. He's been around, pitched for so many teams. He obviously he's faced most of the guys in this lineup multiple times. So you like the veteran presence, certainly on the back of the last 3 outings, which were all dynamite. I mean, only one starter actually came out with a win of the 3 against Miami, and that was Cole. Actually, did Wiggins even get the win? He pitched great. I think he did on the Monday night, but. Reagan's was great, Seth Lugo was great, Brady Singer yesterday, all 3 were fantastic. And to me, that is the biggest bastion of hope for this team moving forward, is that the starting pitching continues to be fantastic, really, without exception.
Yeah, another big chance for them tonight. Big night for Waka, and no bigger chance to do it on this stage at this kind of pivotal point of the season. The great team at the K.
Guardians starting to take batting practice. Yeah. And, I go back to, we didn't see this coming. I don't think anyone saw the Royals as a team that were going to be 6 games over 500 as we get into July. But certainly nobody expected the Guardians to do anything. This is a team that did nothing in the offseason. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. And they have had
a foil to what the Royals did.
Right. No, I mean, at least for the Royals, you can point to, well, they added this and the pitching and Seth Lugo. And I mean, this is basically the same team we saw last year, which was mediocre at best. And, some rookie infusion. But these aren't big prospects that have come up. And this is really, you look at this Guardians roster, top to bottom, and you're like, really? That's a first-place team? And yet they are. So this is clearly an instance of the sum has been much greater, or the whole has been much greater than the sum of its parts. And we'll see if they can carry that over for the next 3 months. It's one thing to do it for 2.5, 3 months. It's another thing to do it for 6. And, we'll see if the Royals can knock them down to size a little bit.
Big one tonight, and a big crowd going to be on hand. I guess some of the kids left. I turned around and all the kids are gone. So there are a lot of kids in-house today, 3 hours before the game.
I have a little bit of insight into this. So it is, I don't know if it's just Blue Valley, but it's definitely like Blue Valley baseball night at the K. And it may be some other local leagues, rec leagues as well. But they had, I don't know, looked like a couple thousand kids here early watching Royals batting practice, all in the stands. It was great to see so many fans here at 4:30 in the afternoon. But they've got a couple of other sort of chalk talk type things scheduled for the kids, and so they have now left their seats to go do that, and then they're going to come back.
Like,
where'd everybody go? Like, is it us? They didn't want to see us. By the way, Stephen Vogt here, the Guardians manager, about 20 feet from me, one of the nicest dudes and best dudes in baseball. He is awesome. I covered him when he was with the A's a few years back. He was a great story, just an unheralded minor leaguer at 29 years old. He got a cup of coffee with the Rays and hit so well that he sort of played himself into a regular role. Then he got a contract and he wound up sticking in the bigs for like 6-7 years and was a nice player. So, and a really, really good dude. So I root for him, even though I'm not rooting for the Guardians.
The other 360 days.
All right, so headline number 2, 2 Jayhawks now have NBA teams. Didn't come easy.
No, not how I expected either of those picks to go.
I'm not surprised by McCullough. Johnny Furphy not getting picked last night, I know surprised a lot of folks. I was a little less bullish on his first round chances, I think, than most. But he went today at pick 35 to the Spurs, so he'll get to play with Victor Wembanyama, so that's exciting. And Kevin McCullough, the other Jayhawk, in the discussion had to sweat it out until the 56th overall pick by Phoenix. Right, out of 58 this year, so third from the bottom. By Phoenix, traded to the Knicks. I believe that's correct. So they'll be in New York.
There you have it. Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Furphy. One, I would have liked to see him come back to Kansas another year. Obviously, number 35 pick in the NBA draft,
Yeah.
you can debate that decision. He did what was best for himself. He had a lot of guys in his ear, I'm sure, NBA scouts. He tested the waters and then
Agents.
made the decision to go. Yeah. So, the decision is what it is. I think he really could have benefited from another year at Kansas, but too late for that. And wish him best of luck. I didn't think he was going to go in the first round. And if I'm right, I think he had a green room in, right? So
he was there.
People high on the board
no
thinking
doubts.
that
No,
he would be walking the stage as a lottery pick.
He was there, and I imagine he walked the stage today.
That felt far-fetched yesterday to go early. I thought maybe someone will snag him late in the first round. Ended up going early on the second, which is exciting for him. The second one is I wasn't sure if we would hear Kevin McCullough's name called. We were debating this kind of before we left to come out here.
I should have bet you on it.
Yeah, I know.
Should have made a friendly wager.
I'm glad we didn't in retrospect, but one of those guys that had a fantastic career at Kansas and has kind of followed the trajectory that we've seen with Ochai Agbaji sticking around another year, having a spectacular final year before he went to the NBA. Jalen Wilson could have left. He stuck around for another year. He ended up carrying Kansas and kind of proving that he could be the guy on a team. Kevin McCullough did the same thing, but he spent a lot of the back half of the season injured, sitting out with back injury. He was back, right? Was it his knee? It was his knee. He tweaked his knee.
Yeah.
And he did something that the other guys didn't do, which is carry Kansas to a deep postseason run. Wasn't able to play this postseason. So, it wouldn't have surprised me if he fell 4 or 5 picks behind that and we didn't hear his name and he was signing an undrafted free agent deal, but excited for him and excited to see what he does with the Knicks.
Yeah, McCullough to me is a guy who does so many things well that...
Furphy to traded to the Pacers.
Oh, there you go.
More
breaking news. So traded to the Pacers. So won't be playing with Wembanyama. McCullough's skill set is so varied that I like his fit as a bench guy in the NBA. If you need a defensive stopper, he can be that guy.
One of the best perimeter defenders Kansas has had.
Great perimeter defender. If you need a secondary ball handler who can come in and help be a 1 or a 2 for a stretch and help you run the offense with a second team. He's a smart player. He rebounds. He can pass, and he can shoot enough. And to me, that was the big difference. Is a year ago, I would have said he's just not a good enough shooter for the NBA. But I think what he put on tape the first half of this past season changed a lot of folks' minds and got him into that second round discussion.
Yeah, now the real work begins. We'll see. We'll see what they do. I mean, Jalen Wilson proved himself enough to be able to re-up with the Nets. He signed a big deal with them, and this is the fun part where we get to see, where these guys kind of paved their path in the first couple of years of their careers here. But congratulations to those guys. I don't know how many years in a row now it's been multiple Jayhawks getting drafted. But yeah, pretty exciting news for them. Big day.
And we won't have to wait long to see them in action now, because in this day and age, they'll be at the NBA Summer League, which starts the second week of July. So in 2 weeks, those two guys will be playing, presumably, in Vegas, assuming good health. And unlike 20 years ago, not only is the Summer League a legit thing and all the first and second round or second year guys go out and play, but also just about every game's on television.
A little bit of an insider scoop today that we got, not today, but Jared Kohler and I were at the Christian Brown camp on Monday in Overland Park at a Radiant Church. And Parker Brown was there too, and Ed Fritz, who was Christian Brown's high school coach at Valley Northwest before he left that position.
Parker going to Vegas?
Parker is going to play for the Nuggets in Vegas. Yep, he kind of dropped that news introducing Parker to the campers, and we were like, I'm sorry, what? It's news to me too. So
you're going to do what now?
Yeah, so that'll be fun to see the Brown brothers back together again.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
at least
cool.
for a short time.
I don't know, Christian's not going to play.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Christian won't play. But maybe, I'm sure he'll be out there.
Yeah.
He's been here all summer working out. So he's obviously got time on his hands. Oh, look at that. We are super bright again. The sun. So much sun.
Okay.
Once again, friends, iris down.
There we go.
See, this is the multi-talented Marleah Campbell.
Something you will never see on
but you forgot to flip the thing.
Oh.
Yes. There we go. Hey. Okay. Ooh, you can make us upside down. That'd be cool. Yeah. All right. Well, we're almost done here anyway. Third headline of the day is that we can't get my lighting correct.
The sun is not our friend today.
No, the sun is not.
It's really patchy cloudy out here. Okay. Here we go.
Third headline is really a carryover from yesterday, which is the retirement of Roger Espinoza, longtime Sporting KC star, 16 years in MLS, 14 of those here in Kansas City. The news yesterday, but the press conference today, and you were out there, you get to talk to him.
Yeah, and pretty cool moment. I'm actually really glad we're talking about this on this show, because I was telling you, oh man, there's a cool story from that press conference, but we don't really have time to fit it in the confines of a television newscast. So Peter Vermes took the mic first, and he kind of started and just said, I want to say a few things about Roger Espinoza, and he was telling us the story of the first time he ever saw him play. He said it was while he was at Ohio State. Vermes was kind of getting his start, and he went to go scout the game, and he watched Roger Espinoza play for 15 minutes and said, I want that guy. And, the rest is kind of history. He also said, out of all the players I've ever had, if I was leaving Kansas City for some reason, I could take one of them with me, it would be Roger Espinoza. So high praise from Vermes today, and, pretty cool press conference from Espinoza. He was talking about, you get the questions at these things of who do you credit your success to, what inspired you to keep going, and he kept going back to his parents who immigrated here from Honduras when he was 11 or 12 years old, and he said that, they've been through so much. They came to America with not a lot of money, and they've just been grinding it out to give him the opportunities that he got. Now he's, at the end of a very storied career with a laundry list of accomplishments from the Olympics to the World Cup to, a tenured career in the MLS. So pretty special moment today getting to hear from both of them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but once upon a time, didn't the Wyoming women's basketball coach go to a high school gym, watch you for 15 minutes and say,
that is the future
maybe,
of Major League
maybe.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give her a scholarship.
And then soccer world, 15 minutes in basketball, okay, you can do a lot in 15 minutes.
That's
in
true.
Soccer,
you may see nothing, right?
Yeah. So, pretty cool story there. And then he said he came to another game, he watched 10 minutes and had the exact same thought of, yep, that's still our guy. So, pretty special there.
And it's nice to have a little, I don't want to say positive publicity because it's sad when a star player is retiring, but it conjures up good memories, good vibes.
Back to fonder times.
Because the present is rough.
Things are not going well.
For Sporting.
Sporting back in action on Saturday. They're going to be hosting Austin. Last week they had that 4-0 loss with no shots on goal. And Vermes said, that's on me. I guess they tried a new game plan, didn't really work how we wanted it to.
Well, Vermes didn't have any shots, so it is on him.
That's true. Yeah, it certainly didn't help the cause. But, it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. They're at Children's Mercy Park on Saturday. So, but, how many times are we going to say this? Well, hopefully they bounce back this week. It just hasn't been sporting season so far. But thus is sports, I suppose. You can turn it around at any point.
Well, we saw it last year. You never know. It's still a long season.
Right.
MLS is a long season. And we should probably mention the current again because, you just can't get enough with this positive story. Still unbeaten, and the Orlando matchup looms a week from Saturday. Both teams unbeaten on the season, which is nuts.
That's
to have
two
NWSL teams still unbeaten here as the calendar flips to July. But they play, I believe, tomorrow night. So the Current have to get by tomorrow night, and Orlando has to get by its game this weekend unscathed. And of course, we hope they both win because that sets up the storyline for next Saturday, the battle of unbeatens. Hopefully, here in Kansas City.
Two very high-powered offenses too.
Yes.
Orlando won 6-0 their last outing.
Yes.
Current, the fastest team or the most goals, by different players through 14 games. The most goals, period, through 14 games.
And I think they've had 17 different players score.
Yeah.
17?
It is ridiculous.
There's 11 on a pitch at one time, and one's the goalie, so that gives you an idea.
Yeah. Which goes to show just how. I think that's the sign of a team that can go really deep into the postseason because you're not relying on, Kevin McCullough has one bad game. He's scoring 18 points a game. So now what are we going to do? That's not a factor here. So exciting stuff. It's really been like two sides of a coin for these two teams. The Current having an unbelievably incredible season with a lot of highlights. Sporting still waiting on them to set the ship the right direction.
All right, so that pretty much recaps what we've got going on. Much more on the 6 o'clock news. We'll have more from here. We'll have more Clubhouse preview. We'll hear from Vinny Pasquantino on tonight's matchup and this weekend's matchup. Tonight at 10, full recap on the draft. We'll have highlights, obviously, of the Royals game. Maybe post-game reaction if they win. Maybe I'll sneak that in. I guess that just about does it from a sometimes sunny, sometimes cloudy Kauffman Stadium.
I'm hearing the echoing of little kids' screams. So I think that means
they're back.
Yeah,
no, it's going to be a very boisterous, very fun crowd here tonight with all the kids in the house. So good night. I'm sure there's still a few tickets left, so maybe come on down to the K. And if you're going to come see a game, weather's not too, it's not oppressive. It's nice out here. Come on down, watch the Royals, and it'll be fun tonight. All right. That'll do it for this installment of KC Sports Tonight. Right back at you tomorrow at 5:30. Have a good one.